Hi everybody. After yesterday's events with the whole debacle around formal structures of employment for disabled people and struggling to really feel like I'm having my voice heard in the structures that be at the minute, I thought, well, this might be a perfect time to think about the web series that I wanted to do a while back, half a year ago, in trying to talk to initially talk to the people I know that have additional needs or disabilities and sort of come up with like a chat show as such and just talk about some of the problems we're all facing, because I realised that a lot of my worries and a lot of my insecurities about employment and about not being heard and about having to fight existing structures comes from the fact that we don't have any role models as such. Yes, we have the sports personalities, and yes, we have maybe the odd comedian or the odd actress on TV, but there's not many people representing the average Joe. You know, what are the problems? What are the barriers that are being experienced? Are there commonalities there? Are there differences? What difficulties are faced by people with different disabilities? Because as we know, we're not a homogeneous group. We don't all have the same disability. We don't all have the same life experiences. How much does, age play into it? How much does family support play into it? How much does having established networks or the lack of interfere with someone's ability to break the cycle of, either being a benefits grounder or being a sports genius? There's no in between. There's no acknowledgement as such so far of people that are just trying to get through life, that want dreams, that have aspirations, that want to be better for themselves, for their families, for their local communities. To provide someone to look up to, because a lot of the problems we've all faced is the fact that we just don't know how to get there. Like for me, for example, I would like to help with the campaigning of, being a disabled person that wants to make change, that wants to fight for rights, that wants to be a visible symbol of change and a way that we can move forward. But having only had role models of a particular nature to look up to, you think, well, how do you navigate it? How does the average person navigate it that isn't a genius in sport or hasn't got, a well-connected background, that where, we've just gone through the motions of going to school, going to college, going to university, or in some cases internships in colleges and life skills. How do you branch out? How do you navigate those, uncertain waters? How do you get your voice heard in structures that are just simultaneously saying, yes, your view counts, but then sort of mediating that voice and going, oh, well, but can't you wait? Can't you, just be patient? And if you are raising your voice or are trying to be heard, there's danger of being told, oh, well, you're being aggressive, or, oh, you just need to stop being so difficult. So I'm thinking maybe that this is the time to start that web series. Maybe it's the time to say, hey, look, I want to look into the barriers and experiences of other disabled people and people with additional needs as well. A lot of people forget that, chronic illnesses and invisible illnesses are just as prevalent as visible ones. But yeah, most of the coverage of things are to do with just physical disabilities. But then there's assumptions attached to that as well. Oh, the physical environment can be adapted. You can put a ramp in and hey presto, we're accessible. But what isn't being addressed is things to do with attitudinal barriers, perceptions, expectations, labelling, all of these things, financial barriers, disclosure about disability and the issues to do with that. So I'm wondering whether now's the time. And I'm thinking about starting to have these conversations with people. So I would really like to ask if anyone's interested in joining me with this. I'm going to try and find some way to get it started. I think initially might use the platform of Facebook Live to practice. Thinking if anyone could volunteer as like a pilot study sort of thing, we could do like a pilot one or two people show where we can talk about some of these issues and just see what comes out really, and what are the issues and how do we think they can be addressed and how we can really move forward. Because I feel like in this day and age, and I know it feels a bit cliche because there's loads of movements, the Me Too movement, the Black Lives Matter, and there's a danger of just becoming clustered within that. But I feel like with the background of, disability activism only really happening in the 80s, and even that being constituted of being, typically male researchers in academia. And while that's great, Mark Oliver and Barnes did great work in, facilitating a lot of the rights we do enjoy with direct payments, with care freedoms, with talking about disability and getting it on a platform. I feel like recently there's not been a second wave, if you like, and I feel like it's time that we got together as a collective. It's time we brought the disability movement back into focus, and we said, look, and I know there's been stuff to do with benefits and stuff, and that's important, of course it is. Benefits and finance are always going to be at the forefront of much of these discussions, but I kind of want to turn the focus to individuals, to everyday life, to the struggles of navigating structures, to wanting to be known for more than just one extreme or the other. And I think we need to start. I think we need to help support the movement that was started in the 80s about getting more voices heard, because I realised that it's easy to get disheartened after yesterday, and it was not just yesterday, but it's been months of trying to fight to be heard. I feel that it's time to come together. Yes, it's easy to get disheartened. Yes, it's easy to think, well, what's the point? No one's listening anyway. It's easy to think, well, I've been unemployed for this long, or I don't want to just volunteer. There's many things that you can focus on the negatives for and whatnot, but I want to start some positive dialogue. I want to see where this can get us. Show the everyday lives of people, the good, the bad, the ugly, and have those discussions, have that visibility of, because I'm thinking, where are we? Where are the everyday people? From the different races to the different cultures, because, even disability comes in all shapes and sizes and all different backgrounds. It's not just condition-wise, it's also the person. Let's start looking at that. Let's start from there and see how we can go on. So yeah, I'm bringing it back to the series as such. If anyone would like to partake, I'm thinking of one or two, maybe three people to start with, pilot study. I'm looking really to let people have most of the reign in the conversation. Might come up with some common topics and start from there. Just stuff to do with like key challenges, anything that's positive as well, not just about the negative. Talk about what is working and how we can champion that as well, and the individuals that help us with what is working. So it's a chance to really say, this is working, this isn't working at a local level, and then let's try and get our voices heard. Let's try and drum up some, attention for it, but in a way that we know that we're not being sidelined anymore. Because I think if it doesn't come from us, there's a danger of our voices always being mediated or interpreted by the professionals we work with. And most of the time, the professionals we work with, have good intentions and do want to help. And there is that promotion of dialogue between the individual and the professionals. But let's try and build a network where we can say, locally and nationally, we are examples of success and examples of where we need to improve structures. Anyway, so if you're interested, rambled a bit, I'm going to try and be more concise, but if you're interested, please get in touch and let's see what we can do.